They call them the golden years. But for many, it's when everything starts to fade. Retirement, sold as the pinnacle of freedom, often arrives too late. When health is already failing, dreams have been postponed for too long, and time, ironically, has become scarce. The truth that few dare to face is simple. While you spent your whole life working and waiting for later, the system fed off your waiting. The promise was rest. But what often comes is emptiness. Nietzsche would say that the greatest punishment is not suffering. It's realizing you endured it for nothing. And what if the long-awaited golden years are nothing more than a consolation, prize for a life unlived? Keep going. If you have the courage to rethink everything you were promised since your very first day at work. Work hard now. Wait your turn. One day you'll retire. And then finally, you'll be free. These words sound like a distant beacon on the horizon. Something that guides, that motivates, that gives meaning to daily sacrifice. They are phrases repeated for generations, passed down as universal truths. Live discipline today to be happy tomorrow. Work diligently, save resources, plan your life carefully, and in the future, when the time of productivity ends, you will have freedom. But there is something cruel about them, something silent, invisible, and deeply rooted. Something you may have already felt, but haven't yet dared to name. How many times have you heard this promise and decided to follow it in faith? How many days were lived as preparation for another moment that never came? How many choices were made based on the idea that later would be the right time? Have you ever stopped to think why so many, upon reaching the long-awaited retirement, feel lost? Why this moment, sold as liberating, often reveals itself as empty? Why so many look back and realize they didn't live? They just went through life? Maybe because the greatest lie of modern life is precisely this. The golden years are a false promise, a social construct meticulously designed to keep you going until the end. And when you finally get there, you find there's not much to find, only silence. And the inevitable question, was that it? Let's face it brutally. Many die before they even live it. And worse, they don't even realize they were deceived. You spend decades working exhaustively, sacrifice weekends with friends and family, postpone trips that seem like unnecessary luxuries, abandon passions labeled as worthless hobbies, cut out dreams deemed unrealistic, avoid small pleasures in the name of future savings, plan every penny with the obsession of someone building security, all in the name of a distant but supposedly promising future. But that future isn't guaranteed. In fact, it's designed to be unreachable, a horizon that moves farther away every time you think you're close. A mirage. And so, you live your entire life looking ahead, but never truly living the present. How many parents traded presents for productivity? How many childhoods were lost to meetings, reports, and unbreakable deadlines? How many ideas died shelved under the weight of, not now? How many relationships weakened because the right time never came? And, in the end, there isn't much end left to enjoy, because the body no longer responds as before. The mind is already tired of so much planning, and the freedom, finally, won, feels almost useless. No energy left to use it. Or worse, not knowing how to use it. The system doesn't need to destroy you. It only needs to postpone your life. Keep you busy, entangled, distracted, on autopilot. And the most efficient tool for this is exactly this. The illusion that freedom only comes after sacrifice, after stability, after old age. You've heard this before. Save money. Your old age depends on it. Work now. Enjoy later. You'll only relax when you retire. Don't worry about pleasure now. Be responsible. And you believed it. Because it seemed logical. rational, wise. But behind this, logic lies a trap. You live as if you're training for a game that never starts. Run every day, not knowing where to. Bleed, not knowing why. Meanwhile, time passes. Opportunities slip away. Connections weaken, and that one day gets farther and farther away. And when you finally decide it's time to live, you no longer know how. The idea that retirement is the gateway to full freedom is one of the greatest scams of our era. Because, in practice, it rarely delivers what it promises. What you see is an exhausted body, marked by the fast pace of decades, a mind conditioned to routine that no longer knows what to do with free time, a spirit that has already resigned itself to the absence of a clear purpose. How many plan to travel and discover their body won't keep up? How many want to study something new but no longer have the energy? How many try to start over and realize they don't even know where to begin? The truth is painful. You may gain time, but perhaps you no longer have life within you to use it. Because living is not just having time. It's knowing what to do with it. It's having desire, energy, and clarity about what matters. And these things don't magically appear at 60, 70, or 80 years old. They need to be cultivated, practiced, lived, starting now. The system doesn't need bars to imprison you. It imprisons you with promises. Promises that one day everything will be worth it. That one day you will be able to live. That one day you will breathe freely. But that day rarely comes. And when it does, it's not what you imagined. Because the system understood something essential. The more you postpone life, the less chance you have to live it. Meanwhile, you measure your worth by what you produce, by what you accumulate, by what you deliver, by what you leave behind, but rarely by what you feel, by what you experience, by what you live now. And then, when you finally stop, you look around and ask yourself, I did everything right. But why do I still feel empty? Simple. Because you lived for a future that never arrived, postponed the present so much that it disappeared. Some die earlier than they expected. Others die inside long before that. They die when they give up dreaming. They die when they stop feeling. They die when they become just cogs. They lose enthusiasm. They lose identity. They lose their spark. But they keep going. Because stopping is failure. Because resting is laziness. Because living became a luxury. And so, they continue. Even without a soul. Even without will. Even if the heart screams for purpose. And when, finally, they cross the finish line, they discover it was just another boundary, and that freedom was never there. It was on the path you ignored. Have you ever stopped to think where this fixed idea that success is linear came from? That we must study, work, save, wait, and only then be happy. That narrative started at school, with grades, with tests, with constant demands. We learned early that merit comes from effort and that the reward only arrives after completing tasks. But what if this structure, although useful in some ways, also emotionally traps us? The current educational model doesn't teach us how to live. It teaches us to function. It teaches us to obey. It teaches us to be good employees, good consumers, good reproducers of a cycle we don't question. No one asked us in adolescence, what kind of life do you want to live? What makes you feel alive? How do you define freedom? So, we move forward without answers. And we replace those questions with external goals. High salary, brand new car, own house, social status. But the heart remains empty because no one taught us how to feed the soul. Awakening to this reality is painful. Recognizing that you might be living a life that isn't yours is frightening. Accepting that you may have lost precious time is devastating, but it's also liberating, because as long as there is awareness, there is a chance for change. Freedom is not a destination. It is a daily decision. It's choosing where to invest your energy. It's recognizing what makes you vibrate. It's learning to say no to what no longer serves you. It's daring to reinvent yourself, even if the world says it's too late. You can start today. You don't need to wait for retirement. You don't need to wait for the bills to be paid. You don't need to wait for approval. Start with small choices. Choose a hobby. Travel, even if just for a short time. Talk to someone you love. Read a book that moves you. Do something that makes you feel alive, because the only time you have is this one, and it doesn't wait for you. You're the one who needs to run to find it. Rewriting your story doesn't mean abandoning responsibilities. It means taking control of them. It means stopping living by standards that aren't yours. It means understanding that responsibility isn't a prison. It's a conscious commitment. You can keep working. You can keep paying your bills. You can keep being a father, mother, son, brother, friend. But you can do all that with more lightness, more intention, more authenticity. You don't need to drop everything to change. You just need to start living with more meaning, to give priority to what really matters, to listen to what your heart says, not just what the world expects. If you want to start changing, begin with hard questions. Not those that require quick answers, but those that require courage. What is my true purpose? What would I do if I were sure I wouldn't fail? Who would I be if no one were watching me? What makes me feel alive? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Am I creating my life, or just sustaining someone else's? These questions don't have simple answers, but they have the power to transform your path, and they deserve space in your mind, time in your heart, and action in your life. Be honest now. How many years did you give to something you didn't even want? How many joys did you postpone thinking you were being responsible? How many experiences did you ignore believing, "I'll do it later"? How many times did you erase yourself for a plan that wasn't even yours? And more. Are you building your life, or just sustaining a system that doesn't care about you? The answer may hurt, but it can also set you free. Because as long as you keep responding to external demands without questioning the internal ones, you'll be living a borrowed life. A life written by other hands, guided by foreign standards. And that's not life, it's supervision. Life is not a project to be delivered at the end. It's meant to be experienced. Now. Freedom doesn't come from more money. It comes from more awareness, more presence, more intention, from choosing where you want to invest your energy, from deciding what really matters, from reclaiming control of your own story. Maybe true success begins with a single courageous question. What is my own value? And this answer. My friend, no one can give it to you. Only you can discover it by living.